between the two of them.
The inside of Coates.
Parker gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.
So, thank you very much to Joel Lask for giving us a bit of a hot lap around the TT Circuit Assen, or Circuit de van Drenthe, apparently, according to the more native Netherlands speakers out there. It's a fantastic looking circuit, quite fast in parts, actually. When I came back to have a look at the hot lap, it looked a little bit like it reminded me of the Paul Ricard in certain places, but I'm a little bit more narrow, a little bit more touring car racy rather than F1 racy, I have to be honest. But that's what we like. That's what we're here for. It's the BMW M135, so it's going to be quite short and nippy and looks a hell of a lot of fun to drive, I have to be sure as well. Jack Smith is currently on the top of the timing order. Joel Lask in second. Thomas Potter doing a good job in third. Better than the driver who was stage exit right on the inside of the circuit there, who I can't quite see who it was. I think it was actually Joel Lask. Who's returning to the circuit now, probably went a little bit too hot, and that is sort of the area of the circuit that sort of likened to the Paul Ricard earlier on. Just the long sweeping right-hander, it's just forever closing. You have to pick when your next apex is. It's quite a nice little section of the circuit by the looks of it. I actually probably prefer it to Paul Ricard. There's not many things that I like about Paul Ricard. The final chicane, though, Rich was telling me earlier on that a few people can be a little bit cheeky through the final chicane, and they can straight line it. Rich, do you want to? I don't know if you have the opportunity to explain.
Yeah, so we had a couple of naughty drivers straight line in the final chicane. Not this corner here, actually, that Oliver's just about to go. There we go, that one there. So going straight across that bit of green on the left to set up the next lap. So they've had their wrists slapped and in the driver briefing, and they're well aware of the penalties that will be imposed if they do that in the race or qualifying.
Yeah, it's they're pretty big penalties as well, and there's not much hiding from it. It's fairly black and white whether you do cut the circuit or not. Thomas Potter in fourth. Scott Bugner, that means, has moved up into second position. There are 4 sectors to this particular circuit. Oliver Gibson currently holds the purple sector 2. Scott Bugner, purple sector 1. So the drivers are getting a little bit quicker out there. Joel Lask, I think, has just vacated the pit lane, meaning he's probably got some nice, fresh, new rubber on his car. Have to say, there isn't a massive amount of opportunity for slipstream, it looks like, if you look at the track map. But there's quite a lot of sort of straights that have slight bends and flat out parts of the circuit, which means we could get a little bit of drafting to have a couple of opportunities going into some heavy braking zones, which we quite like. And as Rich has said, there's a few drivers that even in the practice were getting in their sort of elbows out and trying to get a little bit feisty with each other, practice where they can overtake. Andy Carroll has just gone purple in Sector 2. Adam Lyle, purple in Sector 3. In fact, Adam Lyle has jumped himself all the way up into second place with 3 green sectors and 1 purple. Adam Lyle absolutely flying. We even mentioned him. Trust me, this isn't scripted. I know I mentioned him in the championship build-up, but I singled him out on that particular page. But he's absolutely flying by the looks of it. Jack Smith's first flying lap, the banker lap he put in, is absolutely electric. People are struggling to catch up to it, currently on pole position. But Adam Lyle has absolutely flown through, and he's one of a fair few drivers who probably will go for a spin just like that. And he's also a fair few drivers, Rich, that he's one of these BMW sort of alumni, isn't he? They drive this in real life.
Not Adam Lyle, no.
Is it not Adam?
No.
Oh my God, my notes. I've had Adam Lyle down as a BMW driver since he joined the championships about 3.
He may well drive a BMW, but he doesn't drive in the BMW CCR, no.
Wow. Okay. Well, tell you what, because my notes are probably going to be wrong then. Who does on this grid?
So you've got, just looking down the grid now, Lee Piercy, Chris Blakey, Dave Heisman, Sam Walton, Paul Laramie, and I believe that's it.
Wow.
So fair few of the BMW guys.
I had them. I didn't know Paul Laramie was one, actually, but I did have Adam Lyle down as one, which obviously is a complete mistake for mine. Apologies, Adam. But he is going very quickly to BMW. Maybe he should actually take it up in real life.
Maybe should.
Be a little bit of an incentive for it. I don't think we can offer a free test of the BMW, though, unfortunately. Triple monitors will have to be as good as you can get, ladies and gentlemen. But Thomas Potter in 5th place. He's certainly taken a step forward from his mini championship. Maybe that was a little bit of a warm-up that he was going for, waiting and hunting for the rear-wheel drive BMWs to come and take to the floor. He's currently operating inside the top 5 and operating ahead of some big hitters, Oliver Gibson and Ben Smith. Ben Smith, obviously a championship leader. currently probably slightly disappointed with where he's sat, but he does have an awful lot more kilos on board than he did before, especially when he took that round 1 victory. He actually had 0, I believe, because everybody had 0 championship weight.
Correct.
And he wasn't part of the driver rankings either. So he had 0 championship rate and 0 driver ranking weight, which meant he was basically free as a bird to go and do whatever he wanted behind the wheel of the BMW. Now he's got 40 kilos. And Rich has had a bit of a mix of championship and driver standard ballast.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So you basically get a split of your ballast. So total ballast maximum ballast you can have is 50 kilograms. That's split between their driver ranking, which is looked at basically over the previous 3 championships plus the current one. And the championship is for the first 5 positions. They get extra weight as well.
Fantastic, yeah. So a little bit of a breakdown for you. I wasn't aware actually it was the 3 championships. That would be why Ben Smith obviously has featured in a couple of championships so far. I was thinking, well, why hasn't he got weight anyway? But it's a good idea to give as many people sort of a longer time as possible without the weight, give them the best average so they can get the fairest weight. So good idea there. Joel Lask currently in 4th position, 0.2 of a second down. But I can tell you that Jack Smith has gone purple in Sector 1. Sector 2, I wouldn't say is slow. It's not his optimal Sector 2 so far. Joel Lask has just gone slightly quicker by 0.004 of a second in Sector 2, and that's Joel's best Sector 2. So even though Jack is down, it's not exactly slow that the lap he's currently putting in. 29.817, but he's come into the pits according to that. No, he's not, because we're watching him on screen. He hasn't come into the pits. He did take that a little bit too hot through that left-hander. Maybe that ruined his run onto the right. Who's to say? Probably not me, because he's currently on pole position and he just put in a purple Sector 4. He didn't go faster, though, than his ultimate paces. I think he actually equaled it to within 1,000th, because Adam Lyle is no further away than he was before that lap got logged. So I think actually Jack Smith potentially either invalidated his lap, which I don't think he did, or he equaled it, which is probably more.
Well, his last
no, he was a 10th down.
Yeah, he was a 10th down. His last lap was 44.6. Best is 44.5.
Yeah, that's my apology. I needed to make my browser a little bit wider, so I had the last lap. You can tell I'm trying to fit too many things on one screen here.
You need a bigger monitor. You need a triple screen.
I need a bigger monitor. Or triples. I do have triples, but one of them is currently vertical because it has to fit on the So actually what I need is a bigger desk.
Yeah,
bigger
sounds
desk.
good.
But anyway, we digress. Andy Carroll,
he's gone green.
Sector 1. Lee Pearcey, green Sector 1 as well. So the driver who's currently in 9th and the driver who's in 12th may well find themselves jumping up the order a little bit. As we see, I think that was Jack Smith jumping out of the way as Andy Carroll, there we go, on the screen goes through. That's interesting. So Andy Carroll's Sector 2 is actually faster than Scott Bugner's fastest Sector 2. And Andy Carroll was going slower than he has done before as well in that section. So it's Andy's got some good pace behind him. He just hasn't quite hooked it together just yet. Scott Bugner, though, purple Sector 1. And Scott, we will catch up with Andy Carroll and Craig Curtis and Lee Pearcey, who has just gone actually green Sector 3 as well. We'll catch up with them. Keep an eye on the left-hand side of your screen. See where they finish, because we're getting into the crux of qualifying. And given the fact that this is a fairly new track to VRRC, we haven't raced Assen before or anything like that, as we've said multiple times so far in this very short broadcast. It's rare that drivers do loads and loads of practice for a circuit they know very well, like Donington or Silverstone. But the drivers who haven't been able to come on to do the practice laps at Assen or somewhere brand new like this will really suffer. So you can expect that the quicker drivers who learn the tracks quicker will probably get very quick over qualifying. And we may even see them almost qualifying out of position as they learn the track through first race and the second race. Of course, there is that problem with the reverse grids as well that they're going to have to get over in race number 2. Scott Bugner, green Sector 3, purple Sector 1. What can he muster in his Sector 2? It's probably about a 10th down on where we would like it, but he's still going very quickly over the course of this lap. He jumps up to pole position. Wow. He's ahead of Jack Smith. He got 2 green sectors and a purple. It's good enough to go provisional pole position. Jack Smith, who's not going faster on this lap so far through Sector 1. He's got another 3/4 of the lap to go. Where else? Who were we talking about? Ben Smith just gone green in Sector 1. Andy Carroll didn't improve. He's still in 9th place. Lee Pearcey is still in 12th as well. So a couple of those drivers who we were hoping would jump up the order a little bit have unfortunately stayed exactly where they are. Ben Smith with the old touring car livery on the
Yeah,
side
it
of
is.
it, by
Yeah,
the looks of it.
yeah.
It's just quite a smart looking car. I prefer the black one, but it still looks nice. Ben is currently in 8th place, and maybe he's suffering a little bit with those extra weight on board. Adam Lyle has gone green sector 1, Jack Smith green sector 3. People are improving all over the place. Looks like it could be quite a complicated lap, Rich, before you have to go and do things on Streamlabs. Do you reckon it's a lap that people are struggling to get to grips with, or do you think they're going to get quicker over the course of the evening?
I think there's been a lot of practice laps put in, so everybody's been learning it, but it is still a new track, so yeah, they're going to improve as they go along, right?
Absolutely, that's what we hope for. Anyway, I think that was a little bit messy from Ben Smith going through the final sector. He does come across the line. No, can he improve? No, he can't.
No.
So Ben Smith is stuck down in 9th place. The checkered flag now comes out. I think he just about got over the line in time for another run. Andy Carroll improved. He went from 9th up to 5th. Oliver Gibson stuck down in 8th place. Ben Smith has improved up to 9th. But Andy Carroll's just gone purple, sector 1. Andy Carroll, who was threatened pace without providing too much of it, all of a sudden is sat in 5th place, which is pretty damn good in the best of times. But he's got 2 tenths to find up to pole position. He could well find it if the drivers in front of him get out of his way. The problem is they may well be on a hot lap as well, and they won't want to get out of the way. There's not many people on the green sectors out there. Andy Carroll is still going pretty well in sector 2. Again, it's not his best, but it's still in the 16s, which is better than most of the grid, and quite a lot of the drivers ahead of him. He may well get a nice little slipstream if he's not put out by the driver ahead of him, who I can't quite see who it is. I think it's Walters.
Sam Walton, I think. Yeah.
Walton. Yeah, it is Walton. So all of a sudden gets the slipstream, and maybe the part of the track. There we go. Walton jumps out of the way. I was going to say that's the point of the track where you really want someone to get out of your way, because there is only one line through there.
He's up.
If he's going to be going. Yeah, he's up on sector 3 as well. You're right. Andy Carroll could be on for a potential pole position time. Is that a little bit too hot for the left-hander? Might have ruined it going through the final corner, but Andy Carroll comes across the line and he sets the pole position by 0.17 seconds. Absolutely astonishing. There may well be a suspicion on that final left-hander. It looked a little bit hot going into it, but Andy Carroll, for now, that'll all be done post-race. Post-race traditionals will deal with qualifying. Andy Carroll, it will be on pole position for the first race of the evening, with Scott Bugner in 2nd, Jack Smith in 3rd. And thanks to this new qualifying interview order that we're going for, we're going to be able to chat to all 3 of them after this short break. Well, qualifying's done and dusted. We have a couple of minutes, about 10 minutes before we go into race number 1. And I'm going to speak to a driver who I'm used to speaking to after qualifying, but not this far down. Jack Smith. How the devil are we?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
I'm not bad. You sound cheerier than I was half expecting you to, though, I'll be honest. Normally we talk to you because you qualified on pole, or you've won a race quite often, but down in 3rd, what's the crack with this then?
In my experience with this car, the ballast hits quite hard. Any sort of adjustment to weight hits quite hard. So yeah, I've been trying all week to get myself near the front, so I'm actually really happy to be in 3rd. But yeah, I've been pushing so hard just to get a decent lap in. It's around this circuit, especially to do a lap like what Andy's done. It's a 1 in like 1,000 chance you do that sort of lap. So yeah, I tried my best, but yeah, P3 quite happy with that. It's about as as comfortable as I can be without, you know, pushing track limits like way too far. So yeah, quite happy where I am. I just need to push on for the race now, see what I can do. Hopefully make up a few positions, but yeah, we'll see how we get on.
You sort of mentioned there's a quite interesting point about how through the week you've been sort of trying to deal with the ballast. What's sort of the training regime? That's probably the wrong way of saying it, but what's sort of the method that you go through over the week? Because obviously the first 2 rounds you haven't been quite as far up the order as you'd like, and you'd probably say the ballast is a big part of that, which is fair enough. But what's the sort of steps you're trying to take to overcome that?
It's all sorts. You go through different types of technique. Like I've been reducing brake bias just to get a bit more front bite. I've done some really funky stuff with the dampers just to get the car to stop spinning, like on corner exit, especially here. Once you drop to second, it's got so much torque in the low end. It's quite easy to spin up. So, you know, changing damper setting, suspension, I tried all sorts, and I've got it to a point now where I can be back at the front, but also, you know, near top ballast. So. It's good to have, but I'd imagine if a time comes where I've got less ballast, it might shoot me in the foot a bit. Yeah, we'll see how the setup reacts to that. But my aim is to just keep at this level for the rest of the championship, really. So yeah, that's how we're going to get on, I think.
Last very quick question regarding that. How do you think the weight's going to hurt the tyres? What's the first 2 rounds been like?
Honestly, tyre wear's not too bad. It's just the temperature that's more than anything. It hit hard in Mugello. I think the left tyres were constant. It would be rare to see a lap where they weren't red, like overheating at 100 degrees. So the front left struggles a bit here, but I really don't see it being an issue, to be honest. Tyre wear's quite slow, so you don't really feel too much. It's purely going to be like sprint racing strategy with the push to pass, I think. So yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot of that.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jack, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you at some point over the evening.
Cool. Cheers, Jack.
Right, not only have we got Jack Smith, we've also got second place on the grid, and that is Scott Bugner. Scott, big congratulations, and nice to see you return back to VRRC. I'm sure Richard and Andy have spoken to you about it and everything like that, but obviously I haven't been here. What's second place feel like for you?
Second place feels good. We got second last week as well, so I'm happy. With my trusty folding table at the minute, so it's obviously doing me justice. So I might actually return the rig. But yeah, no, I'm happy, and you know, well done to Andy as well. It's a great lap from him. Hopefully we can work together and kind of get away. But we know this sort of track, of how tight the qualifying times are, I think it's going to be a bit more looking in my mirrors than it is anything else. But I haven't actually had a proper race with Jack Smith. That'd be quite interesting, quite nice to have a battle with him. And then we know that my old nemesis Joel's in 4th, and I'm sure he'll get stuck in somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I've been waiting for have the Bugner last rivalry reignited, to be honest. But how can you on a foldable table? Where's the SR3 not good enough for you anymore?
No, the SR3 actually got sold to Brad.
Oh, did it?
I sold everything. I sold absolutely everything because I'm in the middle of moving house with my missus. So I thought, right, you know, not going to do it for a little while. And then I started moaning about it, going, I just want to do it again. And she was like, go on then, go and buy the stuff again. So I bought another steering wheel off Joel and some pedals, and I'm just waiting for the rig to turn up. And we're moving house next week, so hopefully, fingers crossed, by round 5 we should have everything up and running.
Oh, she sounds well. I mean, your other half sounds like a keeper. So encourage you to just get back on with the sim racing. That's the sort of thing we like to hear.
Absolutely, yeah. And she wants me to keep on with my real life racing, so yeah, she's definitely a keeper at the minute.
I was going to say, I mean, remind them of that. Get that on record, because in 3 years' time, that could all turn the other way, couldn't it?
I've got to sign a bit of paperwork. Don't you worry.
That's fine then. Scott, congratulations on second place. We look forward to having those battles reignited with you over the next couple of rounds.
Yeah, so do I. Thank you.
And on pole position is Andy Carroll. Andy, I mean, there's only one place to start. That is the time of that lap and the timing of it as well. I mean, I wasn't expecting it, I'll be honest. I don't know if you were expecting it. I'm not sure anybody else was expecting it. I mean, you must be beaming from ear to ear.
Yeah, it was quite frustrating for most of that qualifying session. I couldn't get a clean lap in. I kept picking up silly cuts, and I got stuck behind people. And yeah, even just going into that lap, I got most of the way around it, and I looked at the delta, and I saw I was like 2.5 tenths up, and I was like, but Sam was right in front of me coming into that final section. I thought, oh, this could ruin it, but he very kindly just moved out the way. right at the right moment. And yeah, so I've had a couple of times like that in practice, but that's over 250 laps or whatever. So it's to do it in qualifying. Yeah, no one was more surprised than me when it came up P1. It's like, wow, okay, yeah, really chuffed with that.
Do it within 250 laps, you had to do it within 15 minutes then, didn't you? And well, you managed to get it done. So what's the plan now from pole position then? We just heard about Scott Bugner's looking forward to the race and how you got Jack Smith breathing down your neck, and also Joel Lask, who we obviously haven't spoken to on the second row as well. I mean, there are some heady hitters all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be really tough. I think I usually struggle a bit with bringing my tyres in, so, you know, I might be a bit at risk for the first couple of laps while they come in, but you know, fingers crossed Joel kind of sends it, takes out everyone except me, and then like drive off into the distance or something. That would be about perfect.
Well, they'll all be aiming for your rear gearbox, your rear diffuser anyway. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be really exciting. And have you done any practice starts, Andy?
I was doing a few earlier. I was actually on the old drag strip in a set of Corsa trying to figure out what the best way to start. And it's, yeah, I'm not sure I came to a conclusion. But yeah, hopefully I can still have enough in hand by the time we get to turn 1 to kind of lead into that. But yeah, and of course we've got no push to pass on lap 1. So hopefully that protects me a little bit, but yeah, I might be a sitting duck by the sort of second sector of lap 2. But no, well, fingers crossed. I'm still somewhere in the top 5, you know, by the end of the first couple of laps. So.
Well, you know the old classic touring car cliche, Andy, is the fact that the rear-wheel drives always get off the line quite well. If you ignore the fact that everybody else is also that's
yeah.
probably quite comforting thought. But good luck, Andy. Hopefully,
Thanks,
we'll
Jack.
be speaking to you later. You got about 90 seconds before the race, so I'm going to let you go and try and prepare for it.
Cheers.
It's Andy Carroll, Scott Bugner and Jack Smith, all sounding fairly upbeat after the qualifying. It's quite nice to chat to them, actually. Now, Assen, as you can see, is a little bit of a curve to it, which, I mean, I don't know if, well, drivers aren't allowed to line their cars up. I'm sure if they were, they'd probably be pointing it straight down the line, but a few drivers probably have to get some steering input in as soon as they get going, which could induce a little bit of wheel spin in the rear end of that. But Andy Carroll and the probably top 10 behind him don't need to think about that just yet. We are 50 seconds away from the first race of the evening, and the top 10 looks like this. Andy Carroll, Scott Bugner and Jack Smith, top 3. Joel Lask in 4th, with Adam Lyle rounding out the top 5. Alongside him on row 3 is Thomas Potter, and row 4 is Ben Smith and Craig Curtis. Sorry, Brad Smith. No, it is Ben Smith and Craig Curtis.
Yeah.
And on row 5 is Oliver Gibson and Josh Martin.
There's probably a little rule actually you missed, because obviously you missed the first thing. We brought in a new rule for this championship that they can't use hybrid on lap 1. That's in an attempt to stop the first corner pile-ups with people going too deep. So I'll just mention that now for you, Jack. I forgot to tell you earlier on. Anyway, the lights are on.
They are. The lights are on, the engine notes are rising, and that can only mean one thing here at the BMW M135 Cup. We are racing for the first time, and it's a bit of a bog start for Scott Bugner. I don't know whether Joel Lask got a little bit of a jump, but it certainly made Scott look a little bit slow off the line, and it's certainly given Jack Smith something to think about as he gets squeezed out. But Andy Carroll, he's practicing on the drag strip, and it's worked a treat. He's leading the way with no problems whatsoever. Scott Bugner in second place, and it looks like Joel Lask will be overtaking Jack Smith into 3rd as well. So Jack Smith getting a little bit mugged. You don't want to be on the outside of those first couple of corners. There's a little bit of a melee further back involving 19th place number 12 Smith. That is Ben Smith actually. So Brad Smith in 9th place. There's still a little bit of a melee. We'll get through all of that in a minute once the top 4 has stopped squabbling. Andy Carroll still leads by half a second. Little bit of slipstream as the spectators give us a bit of a weird stare. Joel Lask is just about ahead of Jack Smith for the time being, and then there is a little bit of a gap between themselves and then Thomas Potter, Josh Martin, Craig Curtis, who slipped down the order a little bit, Adam Lyle, who's in 8th place. 9th is Brad Smith, with Adam Lyle just overtaking him actually going into that couple of corners. So it's been a fairly I wouldn't say peaceful start, because there is Stuart Henderson, Dave Heasman and Kenny Press, who have all fallen well off the back of the order, as you can see on the circuit map down the bottom right hand screen. But in terms of the top 4, fairly clean, fairly succinct, shall we say, in executing the start for Andy Carroll. Had absolutely no problems whatsoever. Chris Blakey's having a bit of an issue, and so is Lee Pearcey. In fact, Lee Pearcey may well be off the circuit. I think he's just rejoined just ahead of Kenny Press. So there's now 4 drivers well off the back of the main group and the main pack. The top 4 pulled away nicely with Thomas Potter, who's had 3 sectors all in the red, which means he's been off the circuit in all 3 sectors. So is Oliver Gibson, Ben Smith and Chris Blakey trying to recover. And as they cross the line for the first time, there will be now hybrid uses available, which means Andy Carroll will probably start having a bit of a headache. But if he's hoping, Scott Bugner will have to now defend from Joel Lask and Jack Smith.
We also had two drivers using hybrid on the first lap as well, Dave Heasman and Stu Henderson, so they will get a post-race penalty.
There we go. So they can physically use it, but they are not allowed to use it by the rule book. As they get onto the first opportunity to use it, you see the likes of Joel Lask and Jack Smith trying to find a way through, but this is going to be one of those cases that if you use it to attack, you'll likely use it to defend. We have Craig Curtis, who's just set the purple sector 1, as we see a very wide Andy Carroll, probably a little bit too hot. He comes back on the circuit. He has to kind of slow the car down, almost makes contact with Joel Lask. I think Joel Lask just about gets away with it, but well, I'm saying is Andy Carroll still in the lead? Yes. Scott Bugner?
No.
Scott Bugner in the lead.
Jack, what?
Number 7, Scott Bugner,
He's in the lead. Yeah, where's Andy Carroll? He's dropped
Carroll,
back.
I think, flew off the circuit. He's dropped down to 3rd place, but I was a bit confused because all the cars look quite similar. And the timing tower on the left-hand side decided they didn't want to update for ages. So as Andy Carroll comes back and tries to overtake Joel Lask, which he does successfully, going to the second half of the circuit, he has used one more hybrid than his competitors around him. But Scott Bugner leading the way from 2nd place is certainly a driver who's going to thank Andy Carroll for throwing it off somewhat. And there is always that suspicion that potentially drivers who practice an awful lot in qualifying without the hybrid, because you're not allowed to use hybrid in qualifying, then go into the race, they start using the hybrid maybe where they wouldn't expect to normally, and they go into corners a few too many miles an hour quicker than they're used to. The braking zone goes a little bit differently, the tyres get a little bit hotter, and all of a sudden you can end up falling off the circuit a little bit too easily. It's not just have to be worrying about using the hybrid off the exit of a corner for spinning the wheels up. You have to also be thinking about them going into the corner. Even though you may have used the hybrid half a kilometre back on the straight, you will still go into the corner probably about 4 or 5 miles an hour quicker than you used to. That alters everything. As they get back onto that straight, everybody uses the hybrid, and I'm sure probably at least the front 4 will have learnt from Andy Carroll's mistake. As they hit onto the brakes now, Carroll trying to go over that. That's where he went off a lap ago. Fires himself over the curb, and I have to say, Jack Smith has fallen off the order a little bit. Thomas Potter has moved up into 4th place. I'm not sure what happened to Jack. I don't know whether he got caught up with Andy Carroll, rejoining. A lovely little cutback opportunity here for Joel Lask, though. The corner is going to go right straight away, as you can see on your screen. So he's going to have to go the hard way around the outside. It's still going around the outside, and he's still just about held on to it. In fact, Joel Lask is using the hybrid to try and just kill those tyres as much as humanly possible. They'll be screaming with overheat on the left-hand side of his car, but he has got the move done. Andy Carroll decided not to retaliate with his hybrid and live to fight another day. Who out there has used too many hybrids at the moment? Is anybody out there on 11? Jack Smith, I think, is on 13. Right, so, there is Oliver Gibson and Julian Christian in 12th place. He's used 11, I think. So, sorry, got 11 left, I should say, actually. Oh, they've used 11. John Jones in 13th place, doing quite well. Chris Blakey in 14th. Craig Curtis, after doing pretty miraculously last week, has unfortunately not quite been able to move up the order as much as he would like as a 6th place. That's not too far away, as we see Josh Martin and Adam Lyle going side by side just behind them. Josh Martin in 7th, goes a little bit wide. Adam Lyle shows he's not going to park around. He's straight on the inside there. Josh Martin and Adam both get on the hybrid. Adam has used a few more than Josh, so he's going to have to be a little bit more of a tactical battle as they go through the main part of the race. Adam looks for the dive on Josh Martin. Josh, I thought maybe went a little bit too hot. Missed the apex, but no, he managed to gather it all back up, get back going, and he's quite happy with 7th place. Looks like he's having a great time. Julian has dropped down to 15th, 16th place. In fact, just rejoining on the circuit now. He's going to actually join behind Sam Watson, who I think has just had a spin and a crash. Maybe with the rejoin. I'm not sure. It looks to be a little bit of a dodgy area, but Watson now dropping down, well down behind Heisman and Henderson. On the first lap. So rundown of the top 10. Scott Bugner still in the lead, but only just because he's got Joel last. Scott, he knew that this was going to happen. He knew that Joel had an opportunity to have a little bit of a go. He was waiting for it. You can't put these two within about 4 places of each other without there being fireworks. And I'm sure Joel will be very enthusiastic to try and take the race win off of Scott Bugner here. Previous teammates, of course, and after Scott decided he was going to step away, Joel has carried on, but it's going to be, again, sort of, they know each other so well. It's very entertaining. Thomas Potter's managed to make his way into 3rd place because Andy Carroll has dropped down to 5th behind Jack Smith and behind Thomas Potter. I'm not entirely sure what happened to him.
I missed that.
No, we missed it, which is a bit of a shame. Jack Smith was just overtaking Thomas Potter on the straight though, as we currently watch the race lead back. Joel Lass currently sat behind Scott Bugner using that hybrid as a bit of a defensive strategy, and I don't think anybody's going to blame him. He's absorbing the pressure quite well. Joel Lass hasn't really thrown much at him. He's just trying to stick of Scott.
So we've got Scott's got 11 hybrids left. Joel's down to 9. Jack Smith's on 10, Thomas Potter's 11, Andy Carroll 10, Craig Curtis 10, Josh Martin 11. So we're all kind of there and thereabouts. Just want to apologise to the people that are watching. We had another sound issue then, which I've corrected in the background. Streamlabs, the software we use for broadcasting, just randomly drops sound inputs from time to time. But it should be back now, so apologies to everyone.
Yes, it does like to make a bit of a habit of deciding it wants to leave us alone, basically, the audio every so often, which is not really what we pay it for. We quite like a consistent stream with no headaches, as Scott Bugner would quite like a consistent race with no headaches, but if he keeps going a little bit too wide in certain areas, he won't get that. And I actually genuinely thought that Joel Lass could potentially hit the hybrid there and try and pull alongside him, because he looked like Scott Bugner wasn't quite in the right sort of frame of, well, the car, the body language didn't look like he was quite okay coming out.
Do you think Joel's sticking with him, so maybe he knows, maybe he's got a spotter that knows that Scott's got more hybrids than him, so he's trying to save him and stick with him as long as he can?
That was the theory I was sort of going for, to be honest, because he has to use it at this part of the circuit. Otherwise, Scott is just going to drive away from him. But now he has to play the very smart game of waiting for Scott to make a mistake. That's the problem that Joel now has with having 2 less hybrids. And if he's aware of that, it's certainly going to be a race-long headache that he's going to have. Scott needs to be sensible. I suppose the argument is, does Scott have a spotter? That could be extremely valuable. He could have the stream on in the background. He could have it on his phone, sat next to him. We're reading out all this. That would be a good way to get it out.
It's not the thing you normally find that drivers have while they're racing, is it? They've got YouTube running on the side so they can watch what's going on. No,
not at all. But to be fair, I remember going out the track day at Silverstone once with my phone in my pocket because I wanted to record a video or something, and I had to have the phone nearby. Anyway, less about that. Joel Lask is going through on Scott Bugner. So Scott decided not to defend with the hybrid. That means he's got 3 left towards the end of this race. All Scott needs to do is just stay within about half a second of Joel Lask, and he can use those extra 3 hybrids on the final lap to pull past him. With a flash of the lights from Joel Lask, it clearly shows he's quite happy with it. Scott, with a bit of slipstream now, could potentially just about pull up to the back of him now. Quite interesting that, Rich, isn't it? I don't know how busy you are or anything like that, how happy you are to talk, but that first corner does look like an overtaking opportunity, doesn't it? But no one seems to sort of be taking advantage of it.
No, I guess because the track's new, maybe they're still learning the best place. Oh, there's Joel down the inside. Sorry, Scott down the inside of Joel.
It is indeed a change from potentially change from the race lead, and Scott Bugner ends up going a little bit wide. In fact, actually going back into the race lead. Sorry, my apologies. Again, they look quite similar as soon as they go side on the yellow and they think sim racing. Anyway, they look quite similar to me. I'll get used to it eventually, as we might see a big dive from Joel Lask. That's a massive dive up the inside, getting the apex nicely as he tries to keep the corner his. Yeah, Joel Lask making his way through, and to be fair to them,
He's flashing his
hybrid
lights.
really used in that at all. Jack Smith is catching up to the back of both of them though, as they slow each other down consistently.
Yeah.
Lyle up to 5th place, Andy Carroll in 4th. That means Thomas Potter's dropped down into 6th after being once upon a time on the podium, but he seems he wasn't able to quite catch up. Adam Lyle has rinsed through his hybrid. He's only on 4, which is not the optimal amount that you would want to be having at this stage of the race with 13 minutes to go. Scott Bugner right on the back bumper of Joel Lask. No hybrid being used. He wants to use a slipstream. Can he make the dive? It's a dodgy place to do it. It's so fast through this back end, this sector 3 and 4 into the final corner is really the overtaking opportunity, but really it's sort of not at the same time. So you'll ruin your run out onto the start finish straight. You'll absolutely decimate any time you made up going into the first corner, as Scott Bugner now uses that hybrid. Maybe he's been listening to us and hearing that the first corner is an overtaking opportunity. Scott Bugner gets into the race lead and forces Joel Lask out for good measure, almost hanging him out to dry. Jack Smith will be watching this and licking his lips. It doesn't matter that he's got too much weight on board. We know Jack Smith can race. He's looking at this, he's thinking, this is exactly what I need to do. Please let me keep fighting. May well mop up the podium position 1 or 2 higher than he's currently operating in. Andy Carroll and Thomas Potter, Adam Lyle, they're all battling. That fight for 5th place actually is quite very entertaining. Andy Carroll seems to have broken away from there we go. He's in no man's land currently. But the likes of Adam Lyle and Josh Martin are still erupting around each other. Adam Lyle on the inside, Josh Martin very wide, clips the gravel, he gets back on the circuit safely. Could have easily spun the wheels up on the outside there, letting go and kind of barreling across the circuit, but held on to it for the time being. And, I'm sure his #1 fan, Dave, in the YouTube channel, will be enjoying this if he is actually watching, which normally he is, to be fair. We've got quite a few people actually commenting in the YouTube chat, so a big thank you to you guys for tuning in. Captain Potter obviously giving the T-Pop win. I think that's a fairly old comment, unfortunately, because I don't think he's going to be in 8th place. But thank you, Catherine, for tuning in and giving the comments as well. Roko saying good luck to Christian. Lethal Bizzle, I haven't known much from him in a while, but I don't remember his profile picture looking like that. Evening Brian, so he says. Brian Richardson also says evening Lethal.
Do you know what? Do you know what I want to know, Jack? I want to know if Elaine has got red wine or tea.
Red wine or tea? That is a hell of a question. I suppose could that change through the evening? Probably started off with tea. Qualified went quite well. I imagine it's probably switched to wine, and race 2 may switch to something stronger. But whatever way you enjoy the racing, we just enjoy the fact that you're
Indeed.
Joel Lask is in with 4 hybrids remaining with 10 minutes to go, though. Rich, what were you saying?
No, that was it. I was just wanting to know whether Elaine had red wine or tea.
No, right, okay. Well, we want to know how this front battle is going to finish, and we don't know is the answer, because Joel Lask has just moved his way back up ahead of Scott Bugner. There is still 3 hybrids difference between the 2 of them, and you can notice, tell, that Jack Smith doesn't have the pace over the laps, does he? Because he's dropped off the back of these 2, even while they were trying to follow each other. Jack does have still 7 remaining, though. So
Andy's coming up in the background. Andy's coming up.
He is, yeah. Andy with, I believe, 8 or 6 hybrids, Rich.
Andy's got 6.
Okay. If you're wondering, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just that I can't be bothered to read this the side of the screen. It's slightly blurry. It's streamed in 720 rather than 1080. Scott Bugner alongside. No hybrids needed to be used here. He's going to go trying the hard way around the outside. Oh, Joel Lask just about holds on to it. Scott Bugner, this is a great battle that we've got going on.
Jack's
we have had
there.
for the first 15 minutes, haven't we? We've got 10 minutes remaining, and here comes Jack Smith. If I was him, I'd be good in the hybrid, try and get himself in the way of it. But then again, that would be the wrong call. They're slowing each other up just as much. You don't want to slow one of them up and let the other one get ahead.
I mean, Scott's still got 7 hybrids to use.
He does, yeah. He doesn't have to worry too much, does he, at all? But then if he keeps squabbling with Scott Bugner, then Jack Smith also has 7 hybrids. So you don't want to get into a situation where Jack gets ahead of you, potentially, and then you just use the hybrids.
Oh!
Then massive hit at the inside, I should say, by Scott Bugner on Joel Lask has allowed Jack Smith to get on that hybrid, but he's keen to try and take advantage. He got slowed up as well. Joel Lask
3 abreast.
They're going to go 3 wide. This could smell the stinks of disaster, but they're going to go into the right-hander with Jack Smith on the inside. They're still not quite touching. How they got through there cleanly and in one piece is beyond me, but these 3 drivers are a lot better than me, so that
I'll tell you what, that's
Jack
great
Smith
racing.
Inside of Scott Bugner with Joel Lask in the race lead with only 3 hybrids remaining. Jack Smith with 5, Scott Bugner with 6, sorry. Andy Carroll in the background is probably looking at this thinking, how on earth, what do I have to do to try and catch up to this and get involved myself, as Jack Smith almost gets turned around being defended defending against Scott Bugner. This is sensational. I said about Jack Smith getting in the way of Joel Lask and Scott Bugner, and therefore slowing one of them up and letting the other one get away for a race win. Is that what we're about to see? Is Joel Lask now going to stretch his legs, start moving forward? Because we know that Jack Smith doesn't have the pace.
He's only got 3 hybrids left.
Yes, but he has the pace over this course. And
True,
how long will Scott Bugner take to overtake Jack Smith, who even with the hybrids might not be fast enough to overtake Joel Lask? That's the questions that we're going to be sort of trying to sort through over the next couple of minutes. Brian Richardson has tried to answer your Catherine Potter question with saying Prosecco. Well, that would be a pretty good option as well.
Yeah, that's good with me.
Yeah, there we go. Rich approves anyway, which
you're
it's
good
quite
with
hard to do actually to get Rich's approval. So well done. But the rest of it, Joel Lask is still leading with Josh Martin, who's in 5th place. Thomas Potter and Adam Lyle are now squabbling over 6th. So that means Thomas Potter, who's gone from about 7th place to 3rd, back down to 8th, and is now fighting for 6th, is having a bit of a comeback in the sort of last third of this race, which is quite nice to see. It has meant that Josh Martin has pulled away slightly to the tune of about 3 seconds actually, and Adam Lyle, that must be Craig Curtis in 8th, just behind, with Adam Lyle only having 1 hybrid left. Thomas Potter with 5, we should pull away somewhat, but it's again a bit of a do the players know how much hybrid they've got left, and no one's entirely sure. Jack Smith in 2nd place, not letting Joel Lask quite get away as cleanly as he would like. He has used 2 hybrids to stay within touching distance, where Joel's only used 1. Scott Bugner now uses the hybrid to try and get up the inside and get past. That's probably what he needs to do. Waste 1 to move forward and operate within Joel Lask's reaching distance, and he actually might go for 2 overtakes in 1, basically, and just Joel Lask has had to concede to Scott Bugner as Scott absolutely seared around Jack Smith, saw an opportunity to carry that momentum and get past Joel Lask as well. A great move from Scott, and the 3 of them, you basically could throw a blanket over them, throw a napkin over them, they're so close. The next 5 minutes could be really telling as Joel Lask, without the hybrid, absolutely launches one at the inside through turn 1. Jack Smith is going to try and follow him through as Scott Bugner gets left on the outside, absolutely lunged out of it.
The shoulder barge.
He's been hung out to dry. The 3 of them really operating very, very closely and slowing each other down. Andy Carroll is getting closer and closer and closer. Sorry, Rich, I didn't know whether you were going to sort of jump in. Getting carried away with how close everything was. They jump back on. Scott Bugner just tries to side through the 2 BMWs to retake the race lead on the hybrid. Jack Smith is having to deal with 3rd place for the time being.
This is great. It's amazing. This is
Everything
great racing. This is great racing.
If we needed a new advert at the beginning, Rich, for VRRC, I would click this up 1,000 times.
We may be using Assen again.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. There's multiple overtaking opportunities. There are places to go side by side. You can go around the outside, you can go the inside. The hybrid is working really well as well. And as if Jack Smith's qualifying interview is anything to go for, the tyre problems aren't really there either, as there are in other championships and other circuits. As Bugner and Lask once again go side by side, and Jack Smith tries to figure out, does he go left, does he go right, which driver does he go with? Scott Bugner around the outside, Joel Lask is going to try and force in, they're both almost got off the road, they're going to have to try and leave each other just enough room into the final corners. my days. Jack Smith, he's the driver that I've got my money on at the moment. He gets on the hybrid, he can go into the first corner in the lead of this race, but going to be around the outside. He's going to have the braking zone. Andy Cowell has joined in on the mix as well. Scott Bugner is going to get lunged by Joel Lask once again. That first corner is offering him some sensational stuff right now, but Jack Smith, not for the first time in a BMW, is leading this race, but it is the first time this race that he is leading. So it's going to be quite an effort to try and keep it, but he's still got 3 hybrids. I have to say, I'm quite impressed with Joel Lass to still be in this sort of area of the circuit with only 2. He hasn't used any hybrids in about 3 laps. And with 3 minutes to go, Jack Smith
is checking
is
out.
leading charge of a tune of 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, he's checking out. I think they're squabbling behind him. He's going to give him the legs.
It may well do, mightn't it? It's especially if Andy Cowell decides to join in. He's got more hybrids than anybody, but especially Joel Lass just ahead. And we know that he's got good pace. He did get that qualifying position. But apart from his 1 flying lap in qualifying, he was the best. His second best lap was 5th place. And apart from that, he's down 9th. So nowhere really near where he's currently trying to operate in. But Jack Smith taking advantage, those 2 squabbling into the final quarters. Bang on the hybrid. The other 2 decided not to go for it, and all of a sudden he is absolutely flying away from 1.2 seconds to the good for the time being. 2.5 minutes left to go. What does Scott Bugner and Joel Lask now do? Do they try and decide to calm themselves down, move forward, try and know that one of them deserves this race win and has the pace for a race win, or do they now battle it out for second place and continue fighting if they have basically been falling over each other for the last 20 minutes? 2 minutes to go. You have to say that Jack Smith's actually all the way there.
Yeah, he has, yeah. I mean, he was, 4 tenths quicker than Scott Bugner on the last lap.
Yeah. It doesn't help that Scott Bugner obviously has to now drive in his mirrors a little bit more. And there's now been a break. No driver has really broken away like this. Apart from Andy Cowell in the first couple of corners, Scott Bugner gets turned around slightly by Joel Lass. That will not help either of them in catching up to Jack Smith. There's now been about a 3/10 gap as, again, Joel Lass just bumped the backside, of Scott, who is probably partially on the apex, a little bit defensive driving, and maybe that's why he's getting bumped. Probably doesn't have too much to complain about. Joel Lask is out of hybrids now. Scott Bugner has 1 left. Jack Smith with 2. It's probably pretty much going to be his race to lose. Well, it is his race to lose. He has all the advantage: track position, time, and the hybrids to his disposal. Joel Lask can only really try and win it on the road off pure pace. All he needs to try and do now is just get ahead of Scott Bugner, so Scott has to use his hybrid to go on the offensive rather than defensive. If he decides to try and use it as a defensive strategy, Joel Lask is dead in the water. Andy Cowell also has to lose this at some point. He's got 3 remaining. He could end up getting on the podium here because he's got about a second, 1.2 seconds to Joel Lask. He's got those 3 hybrids, and how much is the final lap going to be counting?
And he's on hybrid now.
Yeah, there we go. He's actually, he's sent the hybrid into the final couple of corners, doesn't he? Hopefully he doesn't overestimate himself and overestimate the tyre grip that he's got under him, but it looks like he's caught up quite nicely to the tune of about half a second, actually. He's got 2 remaining now. We could see him on the podium as Joel Lask looks forward. He might be better off also looking behind him because he could have a surprise BMW sending one up the inside into the final couple of corners. Scott Bugner really only has to look forward. If he uses hybrid 1 more time, he will be free of Joel Lask, but he needs to set himself up for a clean getaway. Jack Smith again has somehow found himself winning this race, which I don't think anybody saw, especially him. We'll get his insight in a couple of minutes' time as Joel Lask sends one on the inside. Scott Bugner, I don't think, saw it. Bugner is now in 3rd place. He'll get on the hybrid and he will get away with it, I think. But that was a bit of a scare, wasn't it? He didn't need that coming onto the final corner. Scott is in 2nd place. Joel Lask is, he can't do anything about the fact that he's doing an extra couple of horsepower underneath his car. He's going to be in 2nd place. But Jack Smith, who really no one expected to be this far up. No one expected him to be in the race lead anyway. After fighting around about the 5th place, he's gotten back up there. He's pushed forward. He's taken advantage. He's seen exactly what he needs to do. Used all of his wealth of sim racing experience, and he's going to come away with the top step. The only driver really that can cause a surprise, I would say, is if one of these 2 end up making a mistake. And 2, Andy Cowell.
He's got a hybrid
section now. He's quite far away. but he's going to have the opportunity to get on the hybrid now, and he's on it already, and he could catch up to the back of Joel Last, who may well have something to think about. Oh, he moves across. Andy Kelman's got an extortionate amount of speed, but he's not going to have the opportunity. It's going to be Jack Smith with a race victory. That black, purple and blue BMW pulling away with it. Oliver Gibson nowhere to be seen, unfortunately, in 8th place, but Jack Smith, his teammate, takes the race victory. Scott Bugner in 2nd, Joel Laskin 3rd, Andy Carroll in 4th, in a race that will go down as one of VRRC's greats in the modern era. I'm going to call it modern era, the last 2 of the championships. Josh Martin in 5th, Craig Curtis in 6th, Thomas Potter in 7th with Oliver Gibson in 8th. Paul Laramie in 9th, and we'll wait to round out the top 10. There we go, by Mr. B. Smith himself. Yes, I'm procrastinating to find out which one it is because they're 10th and 11th. It's Ben Smith, I think. 10th. Yes, it is Ben Smith in 10th, and Brad Smith in 11th place. Lee Piercy in 12th, Chris Blakey in 13th. And the rest of them you can see on the left-hand side of your screen are likely to finish in the positions they are because there's multiple seconds in between them. We will have a chat with our top 3 after this very short ad break. Well, that was one of those races where you wish it was professional to use expletives, because that was a hell of a race. We can't congratulate all the drivers enough for giving us one hell of a show. But the drivers that we can have a chat to are the top 3 at least. And well, we'll start off. To be honest, guys, I forgot who was 3rd. I think it was Joel in the end. It could have been Scott. It could have been either of you. You switched positions so many times. I'm going to go with Joel. Joel, big congratulations for getting on the podium. I think you started in 4th. You didn't have to do that much to get one more position on paper, but my God, did you have to sweat for that?
Yeah, you telling me. That was a cracking race. Fair play to Jack and Scott. It was a shame because I just ran out of push to passes at the end. I may have just used a few more than I should have. But yeah, fair play to them both. That was absolutely cracking race. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think you used 1 or 2 more in like the second lap or 3rd lap than the other 2, which obviously we knew was going to come back to haunt you right at the end. But you were still so quick, weren't you? Without the presence of your push to passes and everything like that. I mean, was it an extra headache to think, when am I going to use this? How many do they have? How many do I have? Was it one of those things again that you have to think about?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's 2 clear spots on the track where everyone was using hybrid, and yeah, I just maybe used a couple too many at the start, so I'll have to revise that for race 2. But yeah, it was just trying to defend from the push to pass more than anything, which is really difficult. But to be fair to both the gents, like it was a cracking race, and there was a few little door barges, but I think that sort of added to the excitement, and it was just, yeah, it was great all the way through. Really enjoyed that.
I was going to say, on the last lap, you had an opportunity to, well, you really forced the opportunity, shall we say, to get alongside him just before he jumped on the hybrid, obviously Scott. But was it a case of he was sort of backing you up? Was he parking on the apex a little bit? Because we did see a few door bumps and bumper bashes.
I was going to say, Scott always likes to park it on the apex. He knows how I drive, I know how he drives. I sort of run him out wide, Max Verstappen-esque, but yeah, he had that final push to pass, I think, over me, and yeah, I think things could have been different otherwise, and I see him get a little twitchy into that last corner. Thought I might just nip P2, but no, do you know what, I'm happy with 3rd after that. It was an absolutely cracking battle.
Wow, fantastic. Glad you're happy, Joel. I'll let you go and concentrate on the next race. Big congratulations on third.
Cheers, mate.
And I can now speak to second place, the other one in that battle. Well, Scott Bugner, you said that you were going to have a rivalry reignited. You couldn't have called it better, could you? I mean, that was epic. How hard work and how enjoyable was that?
Yeah, it was really enjoyable. I am sweating now, I can't lie. But yeah, me and Joel have raced together for years, you know, in real life, in karting, and you know, even when we were at school, you know, as soon as we finished school, we'd be straight on the steering wheels and, you know, taking each other out and finding out where the limits are. And yeah, I think we just put it to the test there of, you know, there's respect on the track and off the track. And it was tight. It was, you know, it was proper touring car racing from where I was sat. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, it was really good and I really enjoyed it.
That was epic. It was basically an advert for VRRC, which is what we always like, obviously, behind the scenes. Scott, I mean, was that... I'm guessing I know the answer here, but has that reaffirmed your decision to come back and start sim racing again? Because I'm guessing that was the sort of buzz you were hoping for and that you were missing earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know, it's been a while. It's nice to come back and, you know, kind of be competitive. You know, well done to Jack, because I think he, you know, it's just me and Joel battling just kind of held us up quite a bit. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and yeah, hopefully race 2 can put on a bit more excitement.
Reverse grid, have you learned a few places that you think you can pass, a few inventive places that you might not have thought before as an overtaking opportunity, but now you've been proven it is?
I suppose with race 2, you don't really know what's going on. All you have to do is look 2 corners ahead and make sure there's not cars spearing off left, right and centre, because that's normally what happens in race 2 on the first lap. So I think that's what we're going to do, and just try and get through the first 2 or 3 laps. Then Joel's got the bullseye on his boot lid again.
Well, we look forward to seeing that anyway. Scott, big congratulations on second place, and we'll speak to you in a bit, I'm sure.
Thank you.
And finally, our race winner, which I will be completely honest, I did not expect I'd be saying, having said it a fair few times in the past, Jack Smith. I mean, can you figure out how on earth you won that race in the end and how you got to that position?
I'll be honest, by lap 3 I thought it was over. I'd gone in on the back straight, I went into neutral, and I'm on paddles, so I have to go through first.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I did that and then forgot to put the clutch in, so it revved out the engine. I luckily changed gear fast enough that it didn't do too much damage. So I dropped to position to Thomas, and I was playing catch up from there. But once I caught up to the back of Scott and Joel, they were just battling each other. I saw they weren't working together. And I thought, you know, if they're going to keep battling, I could save a bit of push to pass here. So that's what I did. Every time Scott got behind me, he pushed past me, and I just let it happen. I was like, yeah, go on then. You can battle with him, and I'll follow you through. And then it worked out on the final corner. Pushed past them both. It was lucky one of them didn't use it. I think it would have been a very different race if one of them had used it on that start finish. But no, I genuinely have no idea how I opened that.
I mean, there was one point where I wasn't sure all 3 of you were going to finish. You were 3 wide, going down towards the 2nd and 3rd sector. I mean, you were on the inside. Were you just hoping and praying that they both knew you were there? Because it goes pretty tight after that. It's a pretty heavy braking zone.
Yeah, I knew it would be risky to do that anyway, but I knew none of us would have backed out because, you know, Scott Bugner and Joel Lass we're talking about here. So I thought I'd send it down the inside. Like, the worst can happen is we're all going to go wide. I think the lads have enough respect between each other that we're not going to make contact in that sort of corner. So I had faith. I stuck to it, and then yeah, we came out alive. So yeah, it was one of those. I just sort of prayed that they would go with it, and they did. So yeah, it was really good racing. I really enjoyed that. That was probably one of the best races in VRRC I've had. So.
Fantastic. I mean, maybe we should just whack you with a load of weight more often, because you clearly have more.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't be against it now. I might quite like it battling with these lots. So yeah.
Just any way to slow you up. That's basically what we've got to do, isn't it? But,
yeah.
A big congratulations and good luck for race number 2, which, I mean, I don't know, your adrenaline dump is probably going to be pretty heavy, but I imagine you have to pick yourself up now. But you've got about 3 minutes to go, so good luck.
Yeah, no worries. It can only be better than Mugello, so we'll go from there.
True that. See you in a bit.
See ya.
Right, that was all three of our drivers from race one, and I have to say they all sounded like they thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you at home also thoroughly enjoyed it, because it was fairly sensational. I can see that a fair few people have been commenting in the YouTube chat as well. Elaine Gibson is back in, obviously giving big congratulations to both Jack and Ollie. A bit of a shame with Ollie that we didn't see more of him, to be honest, but it's nice to see that obviously Jack can get up there. And we do expect Ollie to be pushing up, and maybe just hasn't had much time to get practice in exams and stuff like that. Catherine Potter as well with the comments for the teapot. Fab result apparently up and down the grid, but I'm sure we'll probably end up seeing a little bit more of him in the reverse grid as well. We've got about 2 minutes to go before race number 2 hits your screens anyway, and I think we're all waiting and hoping that we can see a bit of a repeat of race number 1. Dave Heisman, I believe, will start on pole position. Yeah, there he is. Sam Milner in 2nd place, and Sam Walton in 3rd, and we're finishing off. In fact, I was running through the top 10. Adam Lyle is in 4th, which is a story I didn't see at the end of that previous race, because he was a lot further.
He was doing quite well, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he was very quick at one point, especially in qualifying in race 1. So I'm going to go ahead and put my neck on the line and say Adam Lyle for a race win here. Kenny Press inside the top 5, and Gillian in 6th place. I do apologise if anybody in the YouTube chat wants to correct me with phonetically spelling the name so I can pronounce it properly. Please do. I know, I apologise if I've got it wrong. Olivia is in 7th. Krzyzanowska is in 7th. John Jones in 8th. Chris Blakey in 9th. And Lee Piercy in the top 10. You have to wait go all the way down to where is Joel Last? There we go, in 19th place. So we had a fairly big grid finish that race actually. Stuart Henderson was in 21st, and Scott Booker will move up actually. He's currently registered in 23rd. So Jack Smith in 21st. That is one hell of a grid that we've got looking at. We've got about 20 seconds to go before race 2 starts. So this is your opportunity to sit back down, get comfortable, get that cup of tea nice and warm, and try and enjoy and keep it calm. And if you're Catherine Potter, maybe get the vodka out. Sam Milner will try and do chase of Dave Heisman. Hopefully they all keep it nice and clean. The engine revs are high, the lights go out, and Dave Heisman doesn't go anywhere. He's almost stalled in the grid. His reaction time, he didn't stall, his reaction times were so slow, he ended up getting rear-ended by, I believe, it's Walton, I think it was. He ended up going so slowly that somehow Dave Heisman has actually held on to that race lead. I have absolutely no idea how.
He used
Adam
hybrid.
Lyle is in 2nd place, and he's used the hybrid, Dave Heisman. That'll be how he's used the... He stayed in 1st place. He's not allowed to do that. He will get punished for it afterwards, unfortunately. So we'll just say that Adam Lyle is currently leading this race, pretty much. Dave Heisman is provisionally on the track leading it, but that will change. Probably within the next half a lap, to be honest, if Adam Lyle has anything to say about it, but Dave Heisman will be told off for that one, and so will Walton, because he's currently in the hybrid, the only 2 drivers for Hampton. Hopefully no one else follows suit. Adam Lyle actually has done pretty well to actually keep up with Dave Heisman, even if Heisman has been using it. So we could see a change for the race leads. Smith has moved up to 4th place, with Sam Milner dropping down. Craig Curtis and Walton swapping positions side by side as Lyle looks to go around the hard way round and manages to do so. So we do have a change for the race lead. Jack Smith somehow in Scott Bugner up to the battle for the top 10. No idea how that's happened. Lee Piercy in 13th, Oliver Gibson in 12th. Julian Christian is in 17th, Chris Blakey in 18th. Thomas Potter has dropped down to 19th, unfortunately. So, Catherine, whatever you've been doing, make it stronger. Andy Carroll in 8th, Scott Bugner in 9th, with Sam Walton is dropped all the way down, so it's currently off the circuit. Thomas Potter. So with Dave Heisman in 2nd place and Ben Smith in 3rd, trying to catch up to them, it's now the opportunity where you can start using the hybrids.
Correct, yeah.
So a few other drivers will be trying to use their push to passes, the hybrids, whatever you really want to call them. But it's the opportunity basically to start moving and shaking. Joel Last hasn't had to be invited to use the Hybrid, he's got through on the road up into 6th place as we see Craig Curtis go for a pirouette outside out the first corner, I believe that was. A bit of a shame. We did hear through the driver say that it's a little bit too easy to spin the rear wheels up, as Ben Smith is demonstrating for us then, and he's actually very good on the Hybrid. Brad Smith is in 4th place. Brad Smith is in the orange BMW. Ben Smith is in the touring car one with the 3rd place, going up the inside into a 2nd. Nicely done by Ben Smith there, even if it was a little bit too squirrely on the exit. Adam Lyle with 2.3 seconds is his race lead. Jack Smith up to 8th, and it could well be up to 7th place as he overtakes Sam Milner. And well, a fair few of the drivers moving their way through that we sort of expected, but maybe a little bit quicker than we were expecting, to be honest. As I said, that use of Hybrid, that is a fairly impressive run to get inside the top 5, which is exactly what Joel Lask has done after 3rd place in race 1. He is the driver who started out in 3 higher up than the other 2. So we are looking for the likes of Scott Bunker just behind him, actually. He said that to try and get through, and then Joel Lask was the target on his back, his bullseye on his back bumper. And so we'll see if Scott can live up to what he was promising and try and shake a little bit harder. Dave Heasman just coming off the Hybrid, going into the final couple of corners. Weird place to use it, to be honest, and he could be well under attack here by Brad Smith in the orange Phoenix Sim Racing car going on the outside. It's a little bit brave to try on the outside. He's going to get hung out to dry by Heasman, I'm sure, unless Heasman outbrakes himself. But Smith gives him a little bit of a nudge on the apex. I think he was hoping for a cutback, but Heasman actually played it really well. And now Smith is going to lose out position to Joel Lask, who probably will be Adam Lyle's biggest headache. And he's caught to quite substantially, actually, about 0.3 of a second. He's caught up in the last couple of half hours. So a little bit of a break, a little bit of an opportunity to take stock. Race 2 was offered to do that. Oliver Gibson is back in 8th place, finished in the first one. Again, struggling to really get to grips with that car as we see Adam Lyle drop. No, he's not dropped down the left-hand side. Adam Lyle is still in 1st place. He is,
Timing tower is having a fit.
Yeah, the left-hand side, don't worry about the timing tower. There we go, it's now switched itself round as we go into another sector of the circuit. Dave Heasman in 3rd, Joel Lask in 4th, Brad Smith in 5th, Scott Bugner in 6th, Jack Smith in 7th, Oliver Gibson in 8th, and Paul Barrett in 7th. A couple of drivers who we sort of like to keep an eye out on. Thomas Potter has moved up to 14th, Chris Blake is 13th, where in Olivia is unfortunately down to 19th, and Kenny Best and John Jones, who quite often do quite well at the beginning of the sprint races, shot well down the order very quickly. It's currently operating right at the back end of the field, which is a shame for Dave Heasman is absolutely rinsing his push to passes, his hybrids. He's in, well, he's only got 9 left, which is about 3 or 4 less than the drivers around him. So he's holding on to that podium position for as long as he possibly can. He's a bit, I was about to say, a bit no man's land, but actually Joel Lask is about 2/10 of a second away. He's not getting bullied into a hybrid contest though just yet, is Joel. He knows his mistake in the first race, he needs to hold on to him, although that's a pretty big hit with shoulder, and he ends up in the tyre wall as a thanks to it. Joel Lask, who came off the corner, and I think he did activate his hybrid actually. Maybe that's the reason why he ended up going to the side of David.
Maybe, yeah.
Again, bodied another driver and survived in 3rd place. And he might not end there at the end of the race, but he's held on to it for potentially longer than we were expecting. He's obviously going to get hit with some kind of time penalty as well, which is a shame, even if he did finish there. But he is surviving for the time being. But Joel Lask, Rich, from your perspective, that did look like a driver who potentially used hybrid before he should.
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't see the hybrid activation, so, but from what you're saying, I mean, I was looking at the screen and you could see that there was side-to-side contact there, that Joel unfortunately came worse off. Potentially, if he's activated the hybrid, he's just understeered slightly out into Dave, and that's what's caused the contact.
Yeah, it's never desirable to see a race end like that, and there was a little bit more contact with Scott Bugner and Joel and Jack Smith there. I don't know whether there was a little bit of a lag spike that maybe caused that to appear like Scott Bundler was going sideways on the screen. Adam Lyle using the hybrid. His previous lap, though, is nowhere near that of Smith. In fact, in the previous lap, he lost about a second, actually. So this battle that we're currently watching, which is Scott Bundler launching himself at the inside of Jack Smith, Lee Pearson wants to get involved, and Oliver Gibson, actually, as well. All four of these, this sort of battle has erupted out of nowhere, all behind Dave Heasman. This could be the centre of attention as we hopefully keep an eye on Lyle and the battle with Ben Smith as well. There's almost too many places to watch in these races, which is exactly why we love them. As a broadcaster, quite often what gives us a headache. Are a headache, I have to be honest. Having streamed a fair few of these in my time whilst commentating, I have to say it's a bit of a relief to have someone else do the broadcast, even if Rich is probably quite stressed behind the scenes himself. Scott Bugner in fourth. He's still got held on to a hefty amount of his hybrids. Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson. I have to say, where is Joel Last dropped to? Did you see him?
Yeah, he's all the way down, and all the way down in. Well, he's actually made up quite a lot of places because I think he dropped to about 15th. Yeah, he spun, didn't he?
He did. He had that spin with Heasman.
Yeah.
I think you can tell when you solo commentate, things happen. You don't necessarily take them in. Joel Last has recovered. Yeah, he's up to 10th place. He's got Josh Martin. So what could have been a bit of a dream evening for Joel Last, because ended up somewhat slightly more soured. But he still has the opportunity to score some decent points, and he has to keep that in mind. It's experience to know in the sim racing world. That is the main objective now. You never know, these guys could end up getting a little bit slow and slowing themselves down. Too much racing as Jack Smith looks to try and do what he did in the first race and get around the outside on the hybrid going into turn number 1 ahead of Scott Bugner. And he's managed it. Not quite for the race lead, but he is got in that track position. It's now his responsibility to get past Dave Heasman. And, we now know that that's not as easily said than done as Heasman goes very wide, almost hangs around the dry, leaves a massive gap on the inside for Scott Bugner, who now tries to go at the inside of Jack Smith. He's trying to figure out which way to go. Does he follow Heasman? Does he follow Smith? They're all on the hybrid. Goodness knows how who's going to end up in front of this one. Who's buddies on Oliver Gibson, to be honest? In 6th place ahead of Piercy could end up in a bit of a disaster here, and Gibson is the one who will mop up and take the plaudits. Bugner on the inside of Smith. Heasman is still ahead, but Heasman goes off. Can he get back on the circuit? Yes, he can. Gets the braking zone done. Oliver Gibson looks at the inside of Scott Bugner. Heasman body checks on Jack Smith. He had to get back on the circuit at some point. Bugner also made contact with him as Oliver Gibson tries to go round the outside and follow Jack Smith the hard way round. The corner will come back to Smith. He may well have Heasman. He's going to have Bugner. Heasman goes wide, misses the apex completely. Smith finally has the move done. Heasman gets out of everybody's way because he touched the grass. And it all can settle down for about 0.2 seconds because Oliver Gibson is going through on Scott Bugner now as well to try and help out his teammate and brother Jack Smith, who's on the hybrid. Scott Bugner's on the hybrid. And Oliver Gibson was on the hybrid early. That means he's had to bail out of it. He can't use the hybrid. I think it's 10 seconds after he used it previously. So he's had to come down for the time being. Adam Lyle still leads this race from Ben Smith. And it's a bit of a shame from those two drivers' point of view that we can't quite catch up with as much as we want to. We will see it if they change positions. As Oliver Gibson now has Lee Pearcy for a headache just behind. Scott Bugner looks forward. He's got his eyes set firm back of that purple, blue and black BMW just ahead of him. Joel Last has moved his way up into 8th place ahead of Josh Martin, Craig Curtis and Paul Laramie. What an excitement that was. I mean, you don't really know where to look. Rich, I bet you're having a proper headache in the broadcast.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the timings between each driver, trying to find the closest battles, but I think where we are is, Craig Curtis is pretty close. Craig and Paul are pretty close together along with Josh. Let's have a quick look at them and see how they're getting on.
Yeah, here is Josh, who was a bit of a centre of attention in the first race as well, away from that battle first. He was fighting and doing battle actually, and obviously now choosing to do battle with some other drivers to get on their nerves. I'm sure Joel Lask is one of them. He really did. Oh, he's not very silent. Probably you could probably do with following Joel as much as humanly possible. Good pace, driving around last week. It's not easy to keep him behind either. And let's keep in mind that he's got Paul Laramie and Thomas Potter, all three drivers there. Well, all the drivers basically you see on the screen. relatively experienced now. I'd say relatively because obviously Thomas Potter's probably the outlier, having only done one championship. They're all relatively experienced in VRRC. They've all raced for a long time, even though Thomas is quite young. He is a racing driver in real life in karting, and he's done a lot of sim racing as well, and sim work. So you can't say that he's an experience in the game, but you can say that maybe obviously he's learned quite a lot, I'm sure, in the next couple of years. But it's, again, why any one of these drivers can make a lunge on the other, and every single one of them knows that. And here goes a lunge actually, Craig Curtis. On Paul Laramie on Craig Curtis, I should say. Dave Heasman is the first driver to run out of hybrids. Adam Lyle is on 6, I believe. Ben Smith maybe on the same. Jackson all going about the same. So they will conserve the hybrids a little bit better in this race as Paul Laramie tries to anchor his way through on Craig Curtis. Just about managed to do so, but as they jump on the hybrid, Paul Laramie hasn't activated his. That means Curtis goes back through. And so does Thomas Potter as well. So although Laramie was trying to crowbar a way in, didn't actually manage it, and that's a bit of a shame for him. Andy Cowell's not the driver. We haven't really sort of mentioned too much since the start. It didn't go his way.
Having a bit of a lonely race.
Yeah, he's not really doing that much, is he? Unfortunately, in 14, unlike Joel Lask, who did go off and then was able to push further forward. What do you make of the front two, Rich? Sort of what your opinion on them? As you know, my notes on Adam Lyle is clearly wrong. Ben Smith, two drivers that we don't often come across in terms of the fight for the race lead. They've done a really good job, haven't they? Pulling away from the fight for track.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ben's quick. We know that from, remember the Cayman Cup? He won, qualified on pole every race and won every race, so we know he's quick. Adam does a lot of racing in iRacing, so he's getting accustomed to Assetto. Obviously it's a different beast to iRacing, much more realistic. Yeah, I mean, look, we're seeing a challenge for the lead.
Yeah, we are indeed, actually, with Ben Smith trying to go around the outside. And he was in the minis, I think he was a championship leader for a long time, actually, Ben Smith, but he didn't quite hook up the end of the championship. He could well have hooked up a fight for the race lead here. He was leading the championship going into this round, and I think he might have the gain on Adam Lyle here. They both use the hybrid. They both try and get their foot out. Gives them just about enough room, but Adam Lyle is going to have to go back into the slipstream of Ben Smith and maybe concede defeat on this one. We'll see if he goes for the lunge into the left-hander. Adam Lyle, he does go for the lunge. That's late on the brakes. Ben Smith holds on to it. No, he goes wide. He got scared out of it. Adam Lyle trusted that he wouldn't get turned into, and Ben Smith goes wide. He's going to have to do all that hard work again. They were 4+ seconds in the lead ahead of Jack Smith. That's been decimated.
Yeah, it's 2.5
now. And Jack Smith, we've seen in the first race, he just ends up winning. We don't know how quite often, and I'm pretty sure he couldn't tell you how. But he ends up on the podium, and quite often, if he is on the podium, he ends up on the top of it. Let's see what he can do in the next 9.5 minutes anyway. He has about the same amount of uses of the hybrid as the others. He will probably gain a little bit compared to these drivers over the course of the next couple of laps. But he has got Scott Bugner behind him as well. He's got his own problems. And Scott does seem to have the pace of Jack, hybrids aside. So we could see that battle sort of reignited, but I like the idea of all 4 of these drivers within the same tablecloth again in the last couple of minutes. And I wouldn't be surprised if Scott Bugner or Jack Smith ends up winning it, but I think everybody would love an Adam Lyle win. And you win it to VRRC? I can't quite remember if he has had a victory here.
No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't had a victory before. We had a new winner last week with Craig, so yeah, it's proving quite a good championship, this.
Craig, was that his first win last week?
Yeah.
Really? Well, I could have sworn that Craig has had a victory, but I thought he was. But clearly I'm wrong, terrible short.
Well, yeah, either that or I'm wrong. Let's face it. It's probably
which is more likely.
Me.
We'll
it's
let
probably
the YouTube chat decide. Elaine Gibson has come on saying that she can't watch. Well, I hope you do, because it's quite entertaining, Elaine. It actually might be this reason why you can't watch, to be fair, because Scott Bugner, as I cast my eyes back to the broadcast, Scott Bugner definitely looked like he was throwing one up the inside. Jack Smith probably knew full well that he didn't have the space to do it, he didn't have the opportunity, so he was just going to keep his lines like he was. But we know how feisty Scott is, and to be fair, we saw a brief battle between Scott and Jack. we didn't see a fully fledged battle. We know from Scott's interview after qualifying that this is something he was striving for, is to be able to have this sort of battle and learn sort of the new ways that he potentially has to get past another driver, because as we know, he's battled Joel for years. Although he shared the grid with Jack a fair few times, I don't know
That's
really
right,
if
yeah.
we've ever had this narrative very often.
No, I mean, look, I can't admit it. It's been quite a while since Scott raced with us, so it's difficult. It's difficult for me to remember what battles. I mean, we one thing I do remember is when him and Joel were teammates, they often took each other out. That's the standout memory for me.
Yeah, it's that is a standout. Not one I was going to repeat too loudly. But yeah, hey, if the commentator's curse strikes, at least it's you that's given it, not me. As I also, sorry, my phone absolutely just started going mental. It's like it's just picked up signal, sent me about 15 messages, and just turned it off. Adam Lyle's still in the race lead then with Ben Smith in second. Ben, very distinctive different liveries. I'm quite glad they've done that, because the minis, it was far too hard to tell them apart. I'm pretty sure one of them was number 12 and one was 21. But yeah, nice to see that they've finally differentiated. Hopefully they chat about it and decide about it themselves. They have pulled away from Jack though, which is quite nice to see, isn't it, in a way, Rich? Because obviously Scott giving Jack something to think about has opened up this 4-second gap.
Yeah, so they're not fighting each other, but as you said, Jack's got Scott to think about as well, so that's why the gap's getting bigger.
Yeah, Oliver Gibson has cemented that 5th place. I mean, he's got a second back to Lee Pearcey, but he's got Joel Lask, who's probably going to get literally about to overtake him as I start this conversation. But Lee Pearcey having to concede that Joel Lask is probably going to get through here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, there's a little bit of a bump and a barge. They are correcting me. Lee Pearcey is definitely not giving it in. He's going hell for leather, full throttle, trying to hold on to that position, and he's managed it against Joel Lask. That's very impressive. Lee Pearcey, forgive me if I'm wrong, Rich, I'm sure you're about to correct me here, or actually you can confirm it with me, is one of the drivers for BMWs in real life.
He not only is he a BMW CCR driver in real life, he's a champion as well.
Ah, there we go. So Lee Pearcey absolutely flying here in the number 60. Well, he's flying is maybe slight overstatement, but he's doing a solid job in 2nd place, keeping Joel behind him and keeping up to grips with Oliver Gibson at the same time as well, who we know is no slouch. So although he's not necessarily enjoyed Assen as much as some other drivers, Oliver Gibson is still a force to be reckoned with. Josh Martin, who's operating back within the top 10, which is something we always quite like to see. It's always too long between chatting to Josh, isn't it? He's one of the characters on the grid, Rich, and from your accounts, he's always quite a good person to deal with in terms of the race debrief and everything like that. He doesn't often argue, does he?
Yeah, he often argues. They all argue. So,
Okay, maybe he often argues or slightly less.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, we could do that. I'll tell you what we'll do. If we've got time, we'll interview him on the grid if we don't get him in a top 3 next week. So yeah, let's do that, because it's been a long time since you spoke to Josh, and he's always great value.
Yeah, I think we spoke to him at the end of the minis or in the World Endurance League. I can't quite remember which one. But either way, far too far away. As we see a change for the race for P3. Didn't quite come off, I don't think. I think there was a slight opportunity where Scott Bugner maybe inched his nose ahead, or maybe the timing tower was just having a hissy fit. Either way, they are very close to each other once more, and I can see within the last, I'd say, probably 2 minutes to go, I can start seeing them emptying their hybrids. Rich, give us a bit of a rundown of those top 4.
Yep.
How are the hybrids?
Top 2, Adam and Ben are on 3. Jack's got 4. Scott's got 2. Oliver's got 3, and Joel is on 0.
Okay, so Joel, let's face it, I think he had to do that to try and give him any opportunity
to get back in.
Points.
Yeah.
Early on in the race, before that contact, it did look like he was concerned with them. It did look like he tried to learn from his previous mistakes, but forced into a different strategy, obviously. So Scott Bugner down to 1 now. Jack Smith, really the driver that's sort of on top in terms of the hybrids. Adam Lyle and Ben Smith. Again, that gap between Smith and Jack Smith has come well down, as actually Ben Smith has dropped off the back of Adam Lyle. I'm guessing there's been some kind of
Yeah, something we've not seen. Maybe, yeah, maybe he's gone wide somewhere that we've not seen. But yeah, he's dropped down to 2 seconds back, hasn't he?
I don't think it. To be fair, I don't think it was any kind of coming together around the wires.
Adam had used one more hybrid, so maybe he'd pulled out a bit. But my saying that Ben's on the hybrid now.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it was more the fact that there would have been a mistake because Jack Smith is no closer to Adam Lyle than he was. But Ben Smith is sort of in between them now. Having said that, he's pulling up quite nicely.
Yeah. 0.8 of a second he's just gained.
Yeah, and if we have a look at the last lap when they come across the he was half a second slower as Ben Smith in the previous lap, but if you look at this, he's probably going to be well over half a second faster in that last lap. And it was only 0.3 of a second actually, which is slightly surprising. I thought he gained a lot more visually, it looked like a lot more.
Yeah, I agree.
But well, the stats don't lie, so he is back within 0.8 of a second with 2 minutes to go of this evening's racing. You have to say it's been a bit stellar. I'd say, Rich, it's one of those evenings, and this is rare, that the first race was better than the second.
I agree.
I mean, that first race was sensational, wasn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, if there was ever an excuse for you to start using social media to clip up the races, it was that one, wasn't it? I mean, that's the sort of thing that you sort of drivers join VRRC for, because all the stewarding and all the traditionals, they try and promote that kind of racing, don't they, where people don't take the mick, they don't hit each other, or go for moves that aren't sort of half on, because they go for moves that are only fully on, knowing the respect of the other drivers are there.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'll give it to my executive assistant to do a clip of race one. How's that sound?
Who's the executive assistant?
There isn't one, so we won't.
No, I was going to say, if you say me, I'm not sure.
No, I know that. I knew you wouldn't do it. I think Ben's tyres are shot. It looks like he's really overdriving it, or he's losing a bit of grip on the rear.
Yeah, you could be right. We'll have to start thinking about driving around Rich as well. And given the fact that I don't have a commentary partner, obviously not himself, Sterling driving interjecting.
Well, thank you.
A sip of water and stuff like that, and giving us better insight as well. We'll have to decide that between ourselves. So I'll let you put your vote into the Discord chat, and I'm sure we'll be able to find a common ground at some point. But it looks like Adam Lyle, you're right. I think Ben Smith has had his tyres a little bit shot. I think he'd be quite happy with second place. I think Adam Lyle will be absolutely ecstatic with first. And Jack Smith, to be fair, I think will probably be almost as happy as Ben Smith is on the podium as well, because that means he'll have had a first and a third, which is fairly miraculous. There's been a crash involving Joel Lask, though. Joel Lask has fallen well down the order, and I think Brad Smith is a part of that. Not Ben Smith, don't worry, the Ben Smith fans out there. Brad Smith and Joel Lask. All that hard work may well see it come to a bit of a crumbling end. It's a race to forget for him. And with Jack Smith on the hybrid one more time, he's nowhere near closer to Ben Smith. Ben Smith doesn't have any hybrids to attack on Adam Lyle. He needs to keep it calm, keep it relaxed, relax those shoulders, keep the arms nice and loose, concentrate on everything he's been doing for the past 24 minutes. That's how long he has been in the race lead, pretty much. He may have lost it briefly to Ben Smith at some point that we didn't see, but I don't think he ever did. He got it from Dave Heisman after about half a lap of racing. Adam Lyle, he's been absolutely sensational. A massive congratulations. As long as I'm not giving the commentators curse, he's got half a lap to go. Ben Smith doesn't look like he's getting that much faster. He hasn't got the hybrids to attack. Jack Smith is 2.6 seconds away. He has pulled up to the back of these two drivers. In fact, he's back on the hybrid, so he probably will finish maybe a second and a half away from them. Scott Bugner in fourth, and Oliver Gibson doing a little bit better in fifth place. And Carol Bickens went to sixth as well, actually, to a pretty poor start. But here's Adam Lyle. The gap is 0.6 of a second. He's lost a couple. Don't go wide, Adam. Don't go on the grass. He's going to take the checker flag, and he's going to take a maiden victory here at VRRC in Assen at the BMW M135 Cup, powered by VRRC. Massive congratulations to Adam. Ben Smith will come across the line in a second. The podium rounds out by Jack Smith, who I think I agree with Rich Hayden in the Discord. Driver of the round for me. And Scott Bugner in fourth with Oliver Gibson in fifth place. The top 10 will be rounded out by Andy Carroll in sixth, Lee Pearcey in seventh, Josh Martin in eighth, Craig Curtis in ninth, and what looks like will be Joel Lask, who's been beaten up, he's been bruised, but he is going to limp across the line to round out the top Rich, any last thoughts before we go to an advert break?
I think we should just go to an advert break, mate. I'm just trying to gather my thoughts together.
I will do that. Then we'll have a chat to Adam, Adam, Ben, and Jack all after this ad. Well, what a race, what an evening we've had, actually, to be fair. It's been pretty sensational. And, well, the first interview is a driver I've spoken to 3 times. Well, this will be the third, anyway. It's Jack Smith. To be honest, Jack, I'm running out of things to ask you. But what was, fairly cut and thrust was the race was not quiet, was it? That looked pretty hard work.
Yeah, it was pretty chaotic. Yeah, I can't even remember what the start was like of that race. I was just busy focusing near the end, but yeah, it was pretty chaos. But we got through it. I think there was like one little incident. I think it was Andy Carroll. I did not expect him to be on the outside there, and I think I just tagged him on his door there. So I don't know. I'd have to look at that, but yeah, apologies to Andy if there was contact or anything like that. But yeah, it was a good race. It's me and Scott were just sort of trying to catch the two at the front for ages. To be honest, it felt like an eternity. But we were still like 2 seconds off at the end. Just didn't have the push to pass or the pace to catch up to the front. But yeah, it was a good race. Yeah, nothing really else to say other than that.
Well, I'm going to try and force you to cast your mind back to that first lap, because I think you made up halfway up the grid. Obviously, no one's allowed to use the push to passes or anything like that, but I mean, is there anything that particularly stands out? Were you avoiding collisions, or were you just sort of dialed in?
Yeah, there was. I was just sort of following the pack through, and I chose the right direction this time rather than Mugello, where I went wrong twice. So it did exactly what I thought would happen this time. So yeah, so car in front span. I don't really know who it was, but I dove right, and it was the right direction to go. I think I overtook maybe 3 or 4 cars there, and then through the next right-hander, I think I gained a few more positions there. But it's just fine. It's just getting. If an incident happens in front of you, it's more about luck than anything else. You just got to take your best guess at which way they're going to go and hope that it doesn't continue going in your general direction. So yeah, there was another incident, I think it was with Brad Smith, who I think I very narrowly avoided, so I'm going to have to check the replay and get the old micrometer out for that one. But yeah, it was certainly close. There was a few incidents where it could have ended my race for sure.
You're not supposed to say it's luck, Jack. It's a unanimous, unwritten driver rule.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, collisions, it's skill.
I'm that good.
Yeah, it's just
I can predict
skill.
the future.
Exactly, you can see 5 seconds into the future.
Yeah.
That's what every driver should be saying.
Yeah, I've got like a radar in the front of my car, so I can see everything and preempt everything that's going to happen in front of me.
Exactly. Yeah. See, yeah, you know this. Anyway, a big congratulations, Jack, and one last point for you. I won't make you go on about it too much, but you are now leading the championship. I bet you weren't expecting that at the beginning of the race.
No, to be fair, I wasn't expecting that when I first drove this track, to be honest with you, because the first few laps I really did not like it. So, yeah, to be coming away like top of the championship from this round that's great. Definitely wouldn't have expected it, but here we are. So I guess we just push on to the next one. I think the next one is Spa, isn't it? So that's gonna be very different to this track.
It will be, and well, you might not like Assen when you started the evening, but I'm sure you probably quite like it now, which is good, because I think Rich is going to put it in every single calendar from here on out. But big congratulations on the 2 podiums, Jack, and we'll speak to you, I'm sure, later in the season.
Cool, thank you. Thanks to everyone who's watching as well. Thank you very much.
So, next on the docket. is Ben Smith, next on the podium as well, obviously. A big congratulations, Ben. First of all, you did extremely well to get up to that second place. It looked like you were going for that lead for about 20 minutes. It felt like about 2 hours, to be honest. It was just tantalizingly close, but couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, it felt like an absolute eternity, to be honest. It was just cat and mouse. I'd bring on the push to pass, and Adam would do it, and it just kept sort of hanging around that second gap. I almost got past, but then overcooked it slightly into the gravel, and then we were just back to square one, and it just carried on as we left off. But yeah, it was good fun though.
There was a suspicion, it was Richard's suspicion, which I thought was a pretty good one actually, of tyres potentially going off towards the end there, because it did look like you didn't quite have the pace that you previously did.
Yeah, I think it was a part of that, and also just pushing so hard, and then the mistakes started to creep in, which is on me. But yeah, I'm happy with the P2 because the first race was a bit of a shambles, and last week was also a bit diabolical. So good to be back on the podium.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the championship-wise, obviously you came into this evening leading. You are coming out of it in second place, so it's not been a disaster, has it? But is that something you were sort of like? Did you even think about it going into this evening? Is it slightly a disappointment to lose that lead, or do you know you're more level-headed than that?
No, I wasn't thinking about it too much. I just wanted to do better than last week. That was my main goal. And after race 1, I was thinking, oh god, it might not be any better at all. But thankfully, I managed to pull something out of the bag and grab a P2 this time.
But you did pull it out of the bag, definitely there, Ben. Big congratulations. You're 2 points ahead of Oliver Gibson, actually, who's moved up the order after having what was a relatively quiet night, but I suppose quite consistent. Anyway, big congratulations on the second place, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you later in the season.
Let's hope so. Thank you very much. Well done to Adam as well.
Speaking of Adam, a new VRRC winner has joined us in the commentary box. Adam Lyle, massive congratulations. That was a bit of a race, wasn't it, for you? But it was one that will go down in the memory, I'm sure.
That was hard work. Ben kept me honest during the whole of that race. Wow. I don't even know what to say.
I was going to say, talk us through it a little bit, because, I mean, Ben did go wide, you sent it up the inside, but you held on to that lead for about 24.5 minutes, didn't you? After you got past Dave Heasman on the line, it was sensational driving. At any point, did you start to panic?
As soon as I see Ben was past Dave, really, he was just catching me like mad, but he must have used a few more push to passes than me. So I think I had a couple of extra from the start, so I just had to use them. We was using them at different points on the track, and that's so it was just one of them. I'd pull away, he'd come back, and then when he got side by side with me, it was pretty much battle of who had the biggest pair. And I wasn't backing out of it, so I'm glad he did. And well, I think he ran wide actually, didn't he?
He did end up going wide. Yeah, I think I was half thinking he might turn in or something, but no, he ended up going wide on the hybrid, I think.
I was praying he didn't turn in. I wasn't giving it up. not without a fight, just like last week I was doing to some of the faster lads.
Well, your times were fairly quick actually, and the consistency may have needed a little bit of work, but I mean, in terms of flying laps and everything like that, there's no real worries from you, was there? In terms of would you get caught by people further back than Ben Smith, obviously? Do you feel like this has been a bit of a turn for you in terms of driving in these championships?
Yeah, I don't know, I just clicked with the track this week, really. I enjoyed it last week, but I had a couple of incidents last week that ran me off track. But this week, obviously, I've avoided them in race 2, which has just helped me get up there.
Well, you definitely did that, that's for sure. Adam, I mean, a massive congratulations. We'll give you the opportunity that I probably should have given the other two as well, to be honest. But is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to on your maiden win here?
Yeah. Joel, he's been helping me with the setup. Thomas, me and Thomas have just been practicing. And obviously Stuart, he's always about helping me out and that when I'm struggling. Because I still don't even know how to install some tracks properly. So obviously he's there helping me do all of that.
Fantastic. I mean, I'm sure they appreciate that. I don't know how to install tracks, don't worry either. So.
And Ben for giving me a good race.
Yeah, no, but that was a hell of a race as well, to be fair, Adam. Big congratulations. There'll be many more to come, I'm sure. I look forward to speaking to you later in the season.
Alright, thanks.
That was Adam Lyle, our newest race winner here at VRRC. A massive thank you to him for putting on a show. Next round is, of course, the circuit that we know a lot more about. Will be no less exciting, I'm sure. Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Everybody pretty much knows everything about this circuit by now. It's going to be one hell of an evening, I'm sure. A massive thank you to Rich Hayden, who I'm going to invite now to give any closing thoughts.
And I think I need to sit down. Sorry, I am sat down. I think I need to lie down. That was, I mean, race 1, I totally agree with you, was fantastic. Race 2 is normally the most active for us, but the best racing was in race 1. Yeah, it was brilliant. So well done to everybody.
Yeah, and a big thank you to everybody who's tuned in, watched, commented, liked, shared, subscribed, whatever you've done, or just sat there and silently judged us. It's been an honour being your host this evening. Hopefully next week we'll have myself and Andy McEwen back. If not Richard John Neal, then it would be fantastic to have either of them in the booth. But a big thank you to Rich for jumping in as well. We'll see you next week for more BMW 135 Cup at Spa-Francorchamps.